The following is a fan-made reading of the Pale web serial novel by J.C. McCrae. It describes extra material published after Chapter 5.4 and contains spoilers for that chapter. The original text can be found at palewebserial.wordpress.com. If you'd like to donate to the author, please go to patreon.com/wildbow. Thank you for listening. 5.4 Outgoing Call. Hello? Sharon? Calling at such a late hour? I'm afraid I don't have much new information to give you. Everything all right? Sharon's here, but out. She can't speak right now. Ah, I've got you on speaker. The guy who is driving Sharon's car can hear you. Sharon can't. We need to talk, Mr. Lawrence Bristow, Esquire. I see. Tell me, who or what am I speaking with right now? You sound young. Do I? Dang. What will you give me if I tell you my name? You definitely sound like a practitioner. I'll give you a few minutes of conversation, perhaps. Only perhaps? Then perhaps I'll hang up. Then whatever happens can happen. Let's talk, then. You have Sharon's phone and car. You have Sharon, presumably. Yes, and yes. I did think something was odd when she contacted me by phone, and not by text or video call. I think she prefers the hard-coded word over conversation like this. I do hope she's well. Unconscious, head wound, but otherwise fine. Good. If you're sending them here to screw over Alexander, you should know he expressed initial interest, then swore off any involvement for the next while. The next while being? That's between us and him. Are you there? I am most definitely here. Interesting that it's for a while and not him swearing off altogether. That's interesting. Very interesting. He doesn't tend to let things go, so it suggests that he still wants what's there. I'm not calling for you to work out riddles. I'm calling to tell you that you need to pull out your tenants, and then you need to make amends for any and all damage done as a consequence of this. Amends? My dear, you may let karma have her way with me. I'll manage just fine, I think. Just fine. Karma is a fickle mistress. I think we both know that, but she's not a harsh one in my experience. I'm one step removed from any responsibility here. You sent them here. If any of them get hurt as a... Will you hurt them? What? Will you hurt them? Are you willing to harm relative innocents, blind to the ways of this world? What are you, apparently a child, willing to do to them? Because karma will weigh on your actions, whatever you do to them. You should be careful, be considerate, because you will be responsible, not I. Sharon here pulled a gun on me. A bit of self-defense seems fair. You sent them into a dangerous situation. We can continue to disagree about karma and responsibility, young stranger. I've been down this road at least 100 times. Some of those times were with these same individuals. Karma has not bitten me too badly just yet, and I don't believe it will bite me today. In fact, I act in the service of karma, seeking retribution for a true wrong done to me. I do believe I was cheated out of my livelihood, see, by your Alexander Bellinger. If I act, and it does any inconvenience to Alexander, then that, my dear, is right. And I do say that word with keen emphasis. You have the background to know what I mean. Alexander isn't a part of this. He isn't, unnamed stranger, but he wants to be. He's benched, and I know him well enough to know he is patient but eager. He is willing and wanting to leap off that bench, and he'll leap with eyes open and cards laid out, so to speak. He'll jump on whatever you've got there. that has him so interested. And, my dear, if I can beat him to it, it will nettle him and hurt him. He'll hate it. He may pretend otherwise, and he may have told you otherwise, but if he's interested enough to wait this long until he can be involved again, he'll hate it, and I'll love that he hates it. You speak of your group as an us, between us and him. Why?
If you want answers, give me something. I'm not calling for your benefit, so you can chortle over having a riddle to work out.
No, a riddle is cleverer. You speak of an us, but it's you and an unnamed driver who hasn't chimed in despite the fact you're on speakerphone. You have one, Sharon, but there should still be two there. I'm betting you don't know how to deal with them. You're calling to try to get me to call them off, to back off. To ask for amends, too? No.
No? Dumb.
I'll remember you said that. Not that I'm bothered, but when you see the fuller picture and know more, you may find your words, child, are simply wrong.
Or, other way around, when you find this whole thing was more costly than you expected and that little niggling regret catches you off guard, let that regret come with a hit to your magic, Lawrence.
Dear, let this be our competition. If I regret the outcome, I'll be gainsaid. If not, let you be gainsaid.
Or you could call them, ask them to leave, and you'd have some students at the BHI who haven't taken a side in this imminent civil war you have going with Alexander. It'll annoy him more.
Verona Hayward, dabbler.
Picked up a little augury yourself, I don't consider myself a dabbler. That was their best guess when we refused to give our info. Wrong.
No augury, process of elimination. You don't consider yourself one, but you are one for the nonce. I'm looking at the BHI student records and class notes. You've explored several things already, taking out various books, drawing on the powers of several others. Let's call this one a draw. Why is he so interested in this small, sleepy ski town, Verona?
Why are you so disinterested in the well-being of Sharon Griggs? Because you have two more like her?
Because I trust her. I trust the others, and I trust the system. My system and the bigger system. I trust they'll be fine. I trust that they'll find their way back to their apartments and to me.
He talks too much.
Is that the mysterious driver I heard in the background? I'll tell you no, I have no interest negotiating with those who would extort from me or take hostages, especially with such vague threats, and I'll stress here, no clear declarations that you'll harm her. You left the answer ungiven when I asked if you had hurt her. You left the damage to a head wound when another might chop off a finger.
Would it matter if we chopped off a finger?
It certainly wouldn't be good from a moral standpoint. Not that Lady Karma cares about right and wrong. It's about positions, roles, and the status quo. And you would be the one breaching convention and doing wrong. You should know that. So, yes, it would matter. But not to me. Not in a way that would make me bend the knee or give you everything you want.
Are you doing all this talking as some sort of play? Like trying to dominate or claim the conversation?
Astute. The way these things tend
to...
No.
No. Stop talking. Stop, that's enough. You're annoying. Man, you're annoying. I did mean what I said earlier. When I said we can end the conversation early, I can hang up, we can do our thing, and you can have your regrets later. I'm willing to bet those of us here in this town can be really annoying enemies. The fact you could have us as Alexander's enemies and you chose instead to inconvenience him a little bit by throwing away good people like Clem, Daniel, and throw away someone like Sharon is dumb. So dumb. You should take responsibility for them. No.
No, dear Verona. I was careful to make everything clear when they became tenants, and I'll remind them when they do jobs for me that they are the arbiters of their own destiny. I situate them. I give them a place in a mutually beneficial deal.
So fuck Sharon, I guess. You don't really care. You'd let me take her to pieces? Clementine too? Daniel?
Oh, I'd act. I'd care, even. But I have more trust in them than you do. I trust they will find their way through. Each of them has their own paths they must walk. They have direction, and they've traveled those directions ever since they were young. I'm happy to help them along, to benefit if I can nudge them toward an enemy or thing of interest. I trust the courses they walk will bring them right back to me, and that I don't need to concede anything or bend to your desires to let that happen. If I truly believed you would or could do any significant harm to them, then I might act differently, but not here. There's no need. I'm content to let them carry on, and I'm content to frustrate a man like Alexander Bellinger.
Can I shoot him? I'm not saying no.
Ha ha ha. If you were going to hurt her, I do think you would have already. Reframing this conversation, it's a desperate attempt to get me to call off my dogs. I won't. I know what they are capable of, and I know how resilient they are. Hang up if you wish. I do believe I'll come out ahead, and it would require some strain on your part, dear girl, to change that belief of mine. You made a mistake if you dealt with Alexander and thought you came out ahead in the bargain. He's a predator, sly and conniving, and I will tell you I'm a man who puts great value on money. I eat well. I collect buildings, like some might collect baseball cards. Verona, dear, driver, you should know I do well in a way that few accomplish without a drive and a hunger. That man, Alexander, is greedier and hungrier for power, influence, success, and respect than I ever was. Focus on him. Dread him. This little game with me and my tenants isn't anything compared to what he will take from you, given time.
Someone's a sore loser. I hope that remains a constant. Sharon? Lawrence, please.
Woken up now, have you, Sharon? Mid-conversation? How long?
Since you're astute. Call the police. And since we're at it, let me just screenshot this. Sending might take a minute.
I'm not so good with technology. I
Call the
wouldn't know
police, Mr.
how or
Bristow.
where to find
I've been
it.
kidnapped. They have my rifle. The man has blonde hair, blue eyes. He has scars on his neck. Find it.
I'll look. Found it.
Inserted is an image of Sharon's phone. It is a screenshot of a text conversation with a conversation labeled Shelley in 551. Verona says, he sent Daniel here with the idea he'd get in trouble. And Daniel did. A lot. Talking to him about Sharon, and he told me he'd rather let Daniel find his own way than take any steps to help. I think you and I want the same thing. Daniel out of here and somewhere safe. Shelley says, thank you for telling me. Now see to it that Daniel is well, or we will have a second conversation. I can do my talking with a knife's edge, and you can do it with furtive whimpers. Verona says, cat emoji, thumbs up. Call the police. Can you hear me?
Let's move to a one-on-one conversation, if you don't mind.
They may hear my side of it, but sure. Done. Speakerphone off.
And keep it off.
These people are dangerous, insane.
I'll tell you now. This doesn't change anything substantial about how this will play out.
Really?
My dear, do you know the meaning of the idea of coup or of claim?
I know a conventional definition of claim.
You'll have to round out your education at this school, should you decide to return. Verona, these are concepts that apply to practices that would take. If you wanted to steal a body for yourself, arresting it from its prior occupant, you would want to do this with an eye to the supporting principles of coup and claim, or you'd risk wasted effort or wounded karma.
Do you okay, sure. Use that gun in the
we use coup in the sense of a masterful or superior move. Understand? What you did here, that works fine for counting coup. Getting yourself a win, an advantage, or an edge. It is through counting coup that one can whittle away the claim of the owner. If it can be dramatic, then there are forces out there that appreciate that and will give it credit.
Mess with someone enough and you can possess them easier, or take their things?
Or take their things, yes. Claim, then, is the principle of ownership, birthright ritual, or more mundane things like having something for longer give you on an established claim. The implement ritual gives a very strong claim. You do know what an implement is?
No comment.
If one's claim is strong enough and their power established, then what is lost will be found again. An implement that is cast away will find its way back, as things find their way to Miss Robertjohn. I'll tell you now, I am confident in my claim on my tenants. Contracts are signed. They are part of a bigger arrangement, and that arrangement is mine to wield from beginning to end and thereafter.
Well, that's creepy, Lawrence. You're telling me they're your captives? No matter what I say or do, Sharon here is going to go slinking back to you? She'll forgive you? What the fuck?
She may not forgive me, or even like me. Shelley most certainly will have her reservations. I can manage her. But they will come back, and they will find reasons, or reasons will find them, for them to stay in the rooms I've assigned them, unless you kill them, which I don't believe you will. This is what I do, and it's what I specialize in, and have specialized in since I was 10. Taking and keeping. It used to be things, and now it's people.
And you set them up in a specific way to get what you want?
One arrangement to give the power of one to another so that other one's talents are more. Another arrangement to make them more of a team or change how they relate to the world so that, for example, Sharon reflects Clementine's penchant for finding trouble. I'm not an evil man. They are on average better off with me than they were alone. I say that with inviolable word. But I am a greedy man. I want my revenge. I'll tell you, unless you kill them, they'll return home to me. I'm confident in that. The pattern is long established. You have nothing over me. You are a child, new to the practice, and I've been at this for twice as long as you've been alive. Tell Sharon I will see her when she finds her way back.
We're not done, Bristow. You're not that. Man, do I hate you.
This has been a fan-made reading of extra material from the web serial Pale by J.C. McCrae, read by me, CoronaPollentia. The original text can be found at palewebserial.wordpress.com. If you'd like to donate to the author, please go to patreon.com/wildbow.